Chronic avoidance is what destroys people.
What do you mean by that?
Some people are scared to fail, and other people are afraid to change who they are.
I'm an empathetic type of person.
First I crash out, then I bring it to the Lord.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
I consider myself to be a very multifaceted individual.
Got myself into trouble trying to fight managers.
I connect deeply to people.
I'm not going on my timing no more.
How am I going to move on? What am I going to do?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to today's episode. I'm your host, Yael, my co-host, Miguel. Today, we have our first official special guest, Elijah, a.k.a. EJ the Creator, joining us today. So welcome, EJ. Welcome. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
How does it feel? It's your first time, right?
First time. I'm doing a podcast. Again, not in front of a camera. I'm a little nervous, but I'm here. I'm chilling.
He's just a content creator, so it's not his first time behind the camera. It's definitely going to be his first time sharing the spotlight with us. So we're actually honored and super grateful for him to be here. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Miggy.
Hey everyone, it's been a while. It's really been a while. I'm really trying to work on it and get better, but things are moving. Y'all know enough about me. I just be yapping. I want EJ to talk a little bit about himself so you guys could understand a little bit about him.
Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Elijah. I go by EJ. I am a creative, all in all. I originally had started as an artist, painting and drawing and doing those things in school. As I got older, I got into modeling. From there, it kind of just spiraled into more opportunities and experience because I never considered myself to be a person to stick within one range of like a boundary, I guess you could say. So from there, I got into creative direction and designing clothes and furthering my modeling skills, as well as I would do runway and editorial, just different forms of photo shoots and video shoots and stuff like that as well. And then I got into designing clothes. I got into content creating, just meeting and connecting a lot of different people, such as obviously the guys here that I'm with now. That's kind of like a little bit of my background. That's a little bit of my background as far as like me getting into where I'm at now. Currently, as of today, I'm still growing and venturing and learning. I consider myself to be a very multifaceted individual, not like staying within any realm, just doing a little bit of it all type of thing.
I think we should just jump right into it. Today, we are going to be talking about stress, overwhelm, and how we deal with it, and just like our own personal stories of how we overcome it. Since I might already have the mic, I'll go first. When I feel that fight or flight, that instinct kicking in like any situation, I'll sort of try to remind myself that I need to get back to the moment, because usually when I'm stressing about something, it has to do with something outside of the current moment. For example, like I'll be, whether it be like waking up or like brushing my teeth, I'll be thinking about and having my mind loop about an event or an experience that I could have reacted better to. In that moment, as I'm like going over it, obviously it's important to analyze your feelings and process it and not just like block it. I would catch myself falling too deep into it, to where it would cause a lot of what people would consider anxiety. At that point, that's when I would just take a moment and take a couple of deep breaths and remind myself that I'm okay and I'm loved and I'm safe. Usually when I repeat those things to myself, it helps me get through the moment, especially in those stressful situations. The more I do that, the more it comes naturally to me to be less reactive in day-to-day situations. Obviously, my ego is a thing. That's like 20 plus years of conditioning of acting one way. Now I'm working on a version of myself that I want to be. I'm turning away from that. So I still have that like teeter-totter of wanting to react, but knowing how I should react. I feel like I'm getting a lot better with being less reactive, like turning inward. Basically how I deal with stress is turning inward and taking a couple deep breaths and reminding myself that I'm okay.
Nice. First of all, nice. Very nice. I love that for you. I think it is such a touchy topic when it comes to stress and mental health, more importantly, because I think that's where it stems from. Me personally, I catch myself being in this transitional state right now in my life. I feel like I've been through a lot of things over the years and in my life in general that I haven't fully grasped or healed from. I don't notice it on a day-to-day until I come across those things like you were saying, kind of like what it is you're choosing to react to or not to anymore, based off of things like ego or, insecurity or just stress in general, because sometimes you get overwhelmed and that builds up its own form of stress. In those circumstances, especially with me personally, I'm an empathetic type of person. I connect deeply to people, and it does have a lot to do with these things that I've been through in my life. For me, these stressful things that I'm realizing about myself are coming from my personal connections with people and how I'm choosing to react, or not really so choosing, how I am kind of naturally defense mechanism reacting to these things. I realized that if you don't work on the things that you've been through and truly heal and love yourself first, you're going to go into these situations every time and hurt and portray that onto other people around you type of thing. It's not always intentional. It doesn't make you a bad person, because I know for sure that, like, I'm not, for example. I do see that having an effect on me. I just had recently went through something where it had me with no choice but to kind of self-reflect on myself, and really take a step back and self-analyze and just really just kind of like work on me. And it's not easy at all. I think especially in the beginning, it becomes such like a huge change that like it's uncomfortable. You don't really want all these things to change so much. It's like they kind of have to in order for you to eventually get to that self-love and that control of your ego and your reaction, which is most important. It's definitely possible. It's not like the most difficult thing in the world, but I just think it takes time. I think most importantly, effort. I think a big question that I asked myself was like, how am I going to go about making that happen for myself?
Would that come after, or in that moment would you realize it, or would it take like a day or two?
I think the first few days of you going through said transition, you're not really concerned with actually figuring it out. It's more so you dealing with the pain or dealing with whatever it is that's the issue at that very moment. You know what I'm saying? I do think afterwards, after you've had a couple days of kind of going through that and feeling anxious or sad or whatever the case is, or angry even, whether it's at yourself or others, I think then is when it's like, how am I going to move on? What am I going to do? Why is it that I want to do these things? Is it for everyone else? Is it for me? Is it for a collective? You know what I'm saying? I think it's after.
You allow yourself to feel it, you go through the motions, and then you look back on it on a grander scheme.
Also, because I've been through this a few times, so it's almost like a cycle. When you see something happening repetitively, it becomes, especially when it's a negative thing, it becomes something that you realize you don't want to keep doing this. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to keep putting, of course, other people that you may love or care about, but also yourself through these things. You know what I'm saying? At the time, you don't always realize it, the toll that it takes on everyone, including yourself. For me, that's what it is. I feel like it's become repetitive enough to the point where I've realized I have to really work on this for myself first. I have to really kind of figure out what is it that's causing these things to repeat or causing me to react or ego or be insecure or whatever the case is. Really just kind of like get a hold on that and find that peace of mind. I feel like that's like a lot of people's goal right now, because I feel like everyone's kind of going through something similar, especially with the world that we live in. It's just like all very difficult for everybody.
Do you think because you went through the same cycles, your back was against the wall, you're like, all right, fuck, like I need to do something? Like,
No, I get what you're saying. I think it's true. A lot of movies say it, and a lot of stories, and especially when it's in relation to like a hero or like a fighter or someone like on the rise, it's more like you got to hit rock bottom type of thing. You know what I'm saying? You got to hit rock bottom. Your back has to be against the wall. You almost have to lose a lot or enough times again to really, really be like, you have no choice.
like, damn, like I need it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you have no choice. And that's where the term, it only goes up from here. It can only do that. Obviously, if you want it to. That's where I catch myself being. I'm saying I've hit ground zero, not like in all facets of life, but in a sense where it comes from that stress and the negativity and the way you can beat yourself up about certain things, the way you treat certain people, you know, certain different things like that, to where I feel like I've hit rock bottom and I have no choice but to really get my shit together again for myself first, but also for the people around me. I'm not a bad person. I don't want to allow the things that hurt me to hurt other people unintentionally. You know what I'm saying? Because I think the biggest thing that I face is fear. I think, just to be completely vulnerable, I'm most scared of being alone. I feel like that's the scariest thing. I don't like to be alone. Obviously, I like my personal time. I like my space. You know what I'm saying? To be alone is just like a different thing for me. That scares me. I'm such like a person that yearns for without connection. No family, no friends, no relationship, like that type of thing.
you sort of like overextend yourself to maintain your relationships because of that fear of like that possibility of being lonely?
That amongst other things, because I faced things in life that kind of caused me to be insecure or feel like I need to be in like a self-defense type of mode with my trust, because I'm already naturally a person full of love. I just feel like I lack on the trust. So a lot of that has to come from my bad experiences in life that I haven't fully healed or brung recognition to. Also, yeah, the fear of being alone as well, because both can, two things can exist at once. You know what I'm saying? So I think both play a huge part in that realization when it comes to those things.
How do you handle stress, Balco?
I crash out. Literally. First I crash out, then I bring it to the Lord. Y'all know I take everything to God. Everything. Yeah, that's normally how I handle it. I have to crash out. And then after I crash out, God, I need you to come fix it, because I done crashed out. And then he fixes it.
But don't you feel like that's a cycle?
It is.
Instead of running to God first, you're just letting your emotions and your ego.
Ooh, baby, no, for sure. Yeah, he wants to get into it, y'all. He's gonna fake me do it. Honestly, I guess I was in that transition period for such a long time. I can feel like I recently feel myself getting out of it. What was the prompt? How do I handle stress?
How do you specifically deal with stress? In the moment, what do you do to calm yourself down? You basically said it by turning to God.
I have to, like in those moments.
But what about God? What about what you believe in gives you that security?
He's the ultimate source of comfort, joy, life, everything. It's all it's written, baby. If you ask that question, not saying you specifically, y'all, if y'all have to ask that question, if you genuinely are curious, try it out for 7 days. Just 7 days.
Try what out?
Jesus.
What would you recommend them doing for 7 days?
Asking him to show you. Just all you gotta do is pray. Just pray. Even if you read scripture, some people are gonna be like, oh, I don't know how to read it, whatever the case may be. Just ask him to show you every day for 7 days. Wholeheartedly ask him to show you in a way that he knows, not in a way that don't limit him by asking, show me a blue car or do it or show me a red cardinal flying, because what you're doing is you're limiting God's power. Ask God to show you in a way that only he knows will get your attention. Not in a way that you think will get your attention, but in a way that he knows will 100% get your attention, that you cannot 100% undeniably deny that it is him. Ask him. And then ask him to surpass every single one of those needs, especially when you're stressing. Let me know how you feel.
My thing, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, because I was raised religious. Okay. I have faith in God. I'm not just against God. I'm very spiritual, is what I consider myself to be now. I never completely agreed with that action to the fullest extent in regards to doing something and then in return just simply, like you were stating, like asking God, right? Like for almost like for forgiveness in a way, or just like for, you were saying like power.
No, just to show you who he is. Just
to show you. When you say like you crash out every time, you crash out every time, and then you go to ask him this said thing. What are the links of you crashing out? Like, that's what I want to know.
It depends. It depends on, so all this depends on the settings where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're talking about just stress, like, and overall, I just came from a very stressful season where it was like literally back against the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to spill the whole beans on the floor. It was, it was a tough season financially, mentally, emotionally, professionally, spiritually. I'm saying familiar. Even in my own personal life, I just, in every aspect that you can think of, it was stressful. I'm saying, so I was crashing out. You know what I'm saying? There were some times where I got myself into trouble trying to fight managers and things like that. Like, I've got into those extensive crash outs, just even losing friends along the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've crashed out in so many different aspects. One thing I will say is, no matter what the season was, what the situation was, whether it was personal, whether it was familiar, whether it was professional, whether it was spiritual, mentally, or emotionally, every single time I would always turn to God, and he surpassed every single need. And all understanding. And I had joy that didn't make sense. In the middle of my storms, there were people asking, like, wow, how are you going through what you're going through? You're just carrying it well, because the God that I serve has his love, comfort, and joy surpasses all understanding. Sometimes I don't even understand it. That's what I mean. Like, when I mean by like crashing out, I mean like going out, busting windows, nothing like that. It just means, how do I handle stress? I guess I'm kind of like just portraying it as this last season that I came out of was just a stressful season. This season's been going on for 3 years. I'm just now at the end of it. If you would have asked me this question maybe a month ago, I probably would have been in here looking just lifeless on this camera. You get what I'm saying? Just going off. To land the plane on this, the way I handle stress is by just giving it to him in any way, shape, or form that may look like.
This is a question for you guys. Do you think people stay stuck because they're afraid to fail? Absolutely. Or scared to change who they are?
Both. Some people are scared to fail. Other people are afraid to change who they are because sometimes most people, it's sad because we see this the more we get older. How old are you?
28.
28? Okay, so you're about my age group. I just turned 30. You'll start to realize, especially when you start to get to your 30s, a lot of people are afraid to change who they are because their whole entire identity revolves around their trauma. They don't know a form or a version of themselves outside of that. Not saying everybody, not saying the people that truly want to do and actually want to reflect and actually do better for themselves, but most people are, one, don't know how to live outside their trauma, and two, most people are afraid to fail. Especially, you know what I'm saying, I hate to tie this, but a lot of people back home, like when I first left, a lot of them were like, oh, you'll be back when you go to Florida, you'll be back. You're projecting because you yourself are afraid to leave the city because you're afraid to fail. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of people just won't move. So I say it's a little bit of both, just depending on who you are as a person.
I think this is another one of those things, kind of like what he was saying, where two things can exist at one time. I also firmly believe that it depends on the person and the situation, because for some people, they're supported in different ways that can help them get through that change a lot easier than other people. I'm saying, so for some people, like you were saying earlier, the fight or flight, I feel like that comes from people who may not have that exact support when it comes to the transitioning or the changing portion of said thing. I feel like for my knowledge, I feel like I can understand both sides. I'm saying I think change is a scary thing, even though it's inevitable and it's necessary. I think for anyone, change is scary. I think people don't admit to it as much. Change is very scary, for sure. So I think that all in all, I feel like that's the thing that people don't necessarily bring enough recognition to.
A good point that I want to take a note of is that stress isn't like always bad. Chronic avoidance is what destroys people because it pulls them away from what they actually should be going towards. When things are uncomfortable or when we're experiencing discomfort, we turn away from it because that's just what our brain is meant to do. It's meant to keep us in a safe environment and keep us in that safety mindset. Like that conversation we had in the car about during the hunter-gatherer ages, how when they would stress, it was because it was for survival. Now in today's society, that same stress and adrenaline turns on when someone doesn't like our picture. We've cultivated in society, our mind misinterprets what's actually important and what's not, so we have to challenge it by choosing to be delusional. Like we've said before, I'm sure everyone knows this already, what you focus on is what persists.
Absolutely.
If you're constantly in a negative mindset, that's what's going to be projected back to you. That's what's going to be your confirmation bias to keep you in that mental state. If you continue to think positively and be delusional and be like, no, I am safe, I am loved, I have all these things for me, you're going to start noticing little things that are going to confirm that bias that you created for yourself. Over time, it's just going to become a habit.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people pray for growth, panic when life starts to stretch them. They want to do better. People want to grow in areas in their life that they know they need to work on. When things start to get a little bit difficult, that's when we start to push back because it's unfamiliar and it's uncomfortable. It's also necessary. In that moment, it just feels like something's being taken away from us. It's normal for us to be reactive. It comes to a point where like there's only a certain amount of times where we go through things and we're just okay with it, and then our body just sees it as like a normal state. We can move on to distractions versus healing. Some examples we got are doom scrolling, partying consistently, validation addiction, relationships as distractions, staying busy to avoid yourself. The question is, how do you know if you're actually healing or just distracting yourself better?